So for a long time, I've been wanting to make a lot of different videos telling my outlook on things and the way I see things, and just a bunch of videos and procrastination and everything else that didn't happen. So now they're going to start happening. And the first one kind of wanted to explain of who I am or why I am the way I am and the way I see things. Because if you ever watch any of these IGTV videos or YouTube videos or whatever, you can see that I don't think like most people think, especially people in the fitness industry. And I say things that oh my God, did he actually say that? Well, where did all that come from? Well, just a little snippet back there is, I'm, pretty much a Southern boy and farm boy. Most of my life. I was born in Georgia, and off a farm. And then what happened to me, I've got a few things. When I was 10 months old, I got croup real bad. My throat swelled shut, had to have emergency tracheotomy, still have the scar right there. Every year for about 5 or 6 years, I was hospitalized with pneumonia. Athletic-induced asthma, all sorts of fun stuff medically, but grew up always a taller kid, but not all that big. And then I got big about middle school. I played 3 years of high school football, but I was the biggest kid in the school, almost biggest kid in the county. So it wasn't that I tried all that hard. I went to a 2A high school, went to Umatilla High School, and we only dressed out like 20-some kids on the football team, so it wasn't like I had to try all that hard. Coach say sprint or else what? I was like, I'm the biggest kid here. You got to play me. So, I wish I would have had somebody back then to push me, but I didn't. Luckily, on my size alone, that's about it, because I had no ability. I didn't try all that hard. But I got into Southern Arkansas University and played football up there for 5 years. Went in pretty sorry. My freshman year, I could only bench press 225 like 8 times. Senior year, 49. But here or there. Then after college, I went back to Lake Wells and started working for family on a sod farm. So, I worked on a farm I ran a farm that it was about 3,000 acres of sod, but the total land area was about 30,000 between all the farms put together. So that's where a lot of this country comes from. My tires and the way I see things, and I think some of how I pull certain results out of people is I think I kind of see the world differently, I believe. Maybe from all those hours and hours being alone in the wilderness kind of thing. You see the world a little different. The way it's in its purest form, how animals react, how the trees, everything. And then with the tires and all, it's you just got to make do with what you got. You don't always have the most fancy things in the whole wide world. So, like my grandpa was basically had corn string on him 24 hours a day, because you could at least get it out of the field that way. That's like how I am with duct tape. If you can't fix it with duct tape, at least get you a little bit further, that ain't gonna be fixed. So anyway, so that's where a lot of that comes from. A lot of my really over the top of what I say. One is, the small town mentality of that's just, we have our word and we say what we think and we deal with the consequences later. We don't think about what we say. We say it and then worry about it. So it's just because your word is everything. If you have to think about it, then it isn't what you really feel. You're trying to make other people happy. And that's just not how I am. I'm going to say it, and 30 minutes later, I'll think about it. A lot of the other stuff that this video is going to end up going too long, but is I've dealt with a pretty bad depression all my life. Like really bad dreams, like kind of like, I would say demonic dreams, but I'm not really sure. Just like terrible nightmares and the world's ending or people are dying at my hand. There's nothing I can do about it. The few times I was in the church and stuff, it did help. But it gets to where, where I'm starting to really bear it out there now is because I found every time I do a video like this, people that I never saw like it because I say stuff that they feel, but they won't say. I'm getting to where I'll say about anything. I mean, even though I've lost this weight again, I'm 6'5", 335, or whatever. Not a whole lot of people are going to walk up to me and shame me in person for what I say. So, but for me being really depressed most of my life, that's where a lot of it, I've been suicidal a few times. I've never actually pulled the trigger or cut my wrist or anything, but I've been on that edge to where if I would have had one in my possession at the time, I mean, being a farm boy, I used to have thousands of, hundreds of guns, not thousands, but 20, tons of guns all the time. But, it's pretty hard to shoot yourself with a rifle. So, but I'm not in that state of mind now. But that's where it comes from is, almost dying at 10 months old. All that. Oh, also, the out-of-body experience when I got electrocuted, kneeling down at 220, having congestive heart failure and AFib, having the cardioversion and all that stuff in 2013. And then all the other stuff where I almost had a stroke. But I've got a ton of medical stuff mixed with the depression. So I look at things totally different, I guess. If you battle really bad depression in your life, the only way to come out of it is you end up pissing people off. I was actually told, my mom told me, it came from one of the programs, whatever, is basically, that anger turned outwards is a good thing, that anger turned inwards, anger at yourself is where depression is. So, but I battle some really bad thoughts and some really bad things. And that's why I try to choose to live the way I do and kind of my outlook on the way I see things in training work. I want everybody to get better. I want to help people get to places they can't even see. That somehow I have a knack for that. I can see somebody's potential when they can't even see it themselves. I don't know what it is, but I really want to help that. But that's where a lot of mine comes from. And so that's a snippet, but I'm going to start doing more of these, and I hope somebody gets something out of them.